My first question is, who bribed Hunter Biden to be here today? That's my first question. Second question, you are the epitome of white privilege, coming into the Oversight Committee, spitting in our face, ignoring a congressional subpoena to be deposed. What are you afraid of? You have no balls to come up here and...
Mr. Chairman, point of inquiry.
Mr. Chairman,
If
The ladies recognize.
If the gentlelady wants to hear from
James.
Hunter Biden, we can hear from him right now, Mr.
and
Chairman.
when
Let's take a
speak with
vote and hear from
President-
Hunter
I'm
Biden.
speaking.
What are you
women
afraid
allowed
of?
to speak
Hold on,
here?
hold on.
Why
Order,
are you
order,
guys not
order.
willing to let us
Are
speak?
women allowed to speak in
All
here
right.
or no?
Okay.
Are women allowed to speak in here or no?
Order.
Because you keep interrupting me.
I'll interrupt the
You keep
chairman. I don't know
interrupting.
that he's a lady.
I think that Hunter Biden should be arrested right here, right now, and go straight to jail. Our nation is founded on the rule of law.
Come on.
And the premise
Come
that the
on.
law applies equally to everyone, no matter what your last
Point of order,
name is.
Mr. Chairman. Point of
It
order.
doesn't matter who you are.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Biggs over here.
Donald Trump Jr.
Biggs over here.
State your point, Mr. Biggs.
Yeah, my point of order is this. Are we going to continue on with this blatant interruption? This is absurd and inappropriate. I intend to give my statement. I don't intend to have anybody interrupted. I'm not going to interrupt your statements. I think you should have decorum and courtesy and don't act like a bunch of nimrods.
You just interrupted a woman.
And that's five,
I got permission.
Can we agree everyone has
Mr.
5
Chairman,
minutes?
I will say it's
Can we
funny what
agree?
Hunter Biden's lawyer
Point,
said.
point of order again. The assertion that I
Just
interrupted
interrupted a woman.
was absolutely false. That's typical of the gentleman who spoke it. I got permission
This
to
is
speak
so
from
damn
the chairman.
annoying.
I spoke. I was interrupted yet again by the gentleman who doesn't choose to go through the chair and follow proper order. I encourage us. I think if we're going to have any respect at all, we need to have proper
This is so
decorum.
stupid.
Well, well
There's
said.
Andy Biggs talking back. First off, welcome back to the show. Dana Loesch here with you. Bottom of this first hour. So that was, I'm not a Nancy Mace fan because I think ever she tries to be edgy and it just doesn't work. Her earrings are huge. Not that I don't like huge earrings. It's just jarring, you know, when you're at a hearing and you're in a bright blue, like, you know, limited cut top. And I don't know, she's big earrings on. Anyway, this is why I could never be a member of Congress. But also, I could never be a member of Congress because if I was James Comer, I would get my happy backside up off the chair and I'd be slapping people for talking. I can't deal with this. I don't have the patience to deal with, like, these people are brats. I don't have the... And I like, I mean, Mace was making a point and then she slid into, let me get my soundbite. I want to go viral on Fox tonight, so let me get my soundbite. Balls. She, like, slid into that. It's like, you really didn't... What's the purpose? I mean, you gave him an opening. You gave him an opening. Never make your opponent look more stable or more serious than you do. I just thought that was, and you could tell that she wasn't fully committed to doing that because she stumbled right after she said balls. Right after the L and S left her mouth, she was just like, she just stumbled. Right? You know I'm right in my assessment. She wasn't fully committed. Like, if you're going to go full on that, then you better go balls to the wall, right? Like it's like I just did. You got to commit, right? Especially if you're going to be sitting there in Congress, you got to really commit to this. So it's like she was trying to be really edgy, and you know what she could have done, and what would have been the smarter thing to do was she could have used her time and instead of trying to say, you know, a naughty word, she could have used her time to say, you know, Hunter Biden and his legal team insist that they are here and they've shown up and they're ready to talk, except they haven't wanted to follow standard operating procedure as everyone else does, as Anthony Fauci has done, as even J6ers have done in that whole investigation. All of this, they haven't followed standard operating procedure and have met with members of Congress behind closed doors so that we could make sure that this is expedited and runs as smoothly as possible. They have absolutely denied that because then he would have no diversions. He would have to be answering questions and that would have to go on record. And that is exactly what he objects to because he knows that he is compromised. And if he has to answer any question at all whatsoever in response to the subpoena and have his answers go on record, he knows then that anything that he says can and would be held against him. That's what she should have said. Because that's the point that needed to be drug out into front of the public instead of going, well, balls. You know, I mean, she's just not, graceful with this stuff. Like, don't do the stunt unless you're like fully committed to it, right? Because then it allowed Hunter Biden's attorney to interrupt. And then she went, are you interrupting a woman? I can't stand when people do that. I cannot stand when people do it. And some of these people on our Republican side need to stop it. No, they interrupted you because you're a member of Congress. It had nothing to do with what's between your legs. Shut up. I'm so tired of this. I interrupted a woman. And that's why I thought it was funny that Biden's attorney was like, you just interrupted a woman, to Andy Biggs. Do you see how many times you guys let him have 2 openings? You let that guy have 2 openings. This is, I mean, if you're going to do this, this is rhetorical warfare. You got to be better than that. Allowed him 2 openings. Good grief. That's what aggravates me. Am I being too harsh, Kane? Tell me if you think I'm being too mean.
I mean, I hear it.
When
it's uncomfortable.
When I did interviews like on gun stuff, like when I was doing 2A advocacy, I would, before I would go, and this is just what I always did. Whenever I debate someone, I will research you like a stalker, and I find all of your ticks. I find out how to push all your buttons. I've done this even just going one-on-one on CNN or whatever, and I've done this with everybody. And doing 2A advocacy stuff and having to do interviews like the Stephanopoulos thing, for instance. I knew Stephanopoulos because I'd been on ABC election night coverage before, a few years prior. So, I was familiar with him. We were literally only on ever set together. And I knew that he was going to be coming Spitfire at me. And this was in the wake of Parkland. So I was very, very prepared. And I also knew how to thread my answers together without taking a single breath so that you couldn't edit my sentence out of context and that you couldn't interrupt me. And so I never gave him opportunity to interrupt me. You can go back and watch my ABC interview on that. And he just kind of had to sit there. But I did a lot of legwork on that. And I made sure that I knew exactly how he spoke and exactly I would watch his face to find out when he was going to interject and interrupt guests because I didn't want anyone to have any kind of opening. You have to approach something like this with that same level of seriousness and severity because this is about the direction of the country. And you're talking about the president's son and whether or not you're going to hold him in contempt of court because he ignored a subpoena issued by Congress, which has full effect and force of the law, full weight of the law. So you can't sit here and be like, well, balls, or don't interrupt a woman. I mean, this is, if you think that this is the fight that is worth having, then you need to treat it as a serious fight worth having. And I just get tired of all these stupid stunts that allow for these people that are ideological opponents to have daylight so that they can wedge through some sort of stupid objection like he just did. Do you think Hunter Biden's attorney would have been able to object and go, oh, see, he's right here taking questions? Mace could have immediately neutered that. And she didn't. That's on her. That's a poor showing. This is what I'm talking about. And now if it comes, now you lost your chance. He did his stunt. Now everyone's only talking about his stunt. You could have controlled that room. You anticipate, you know exactly what their objections are going to be, and you rip apart their narrative the first syllable that you get to come out of your mouth. You don't sit here and waste your time grandstanding so you can get a viral video clip. This is one of the reasons why I hate Congress. This isn't entertainment. If you jackholes want to sit here and be entertainers, go to Hollywood. If you don't make it on Hollywood, then go to OnlyFans. I'm tired of you people treating DC like it's a theater stage.